Okay, recording started. Hello on our public meeting, AsyncAPI in the house. We have many new faces at the meeting, and it's really early in the morning. And I'm not sure even how to start. So maybe I'm gonna start as usual. So we have met a few new people. So if you would like to like say something, like say hi or even say something more about you, feel free to do it. You're not obliged to do it. I'm just giving you a space to do it. And I'm not gonna pick the names. So just who's first, and then that's the lucky person.
Hi, I'm Andre. I'm pretty new to Async API and everything you're doing. Yeah, and I live in the UK, and I'm sort of building an API hub on the side. So I'm really interested in how I can contribute and sort of share on what that is. That's me really.
Okay, awesome. Welcome. And we have a topic, one topic from your side, right? That we're gonna discuss in details later. Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess I have to say something because I joined yesterday the AsyncAPI Awesome team. So yeah, I'm Sergio Moya. I'm based in Barcelona. I'm born and raised here. Um, I'm basically, well, more about me. I have a daughter that is turning, it is gonna turn 2 soon. She's shouting somewhere there. So if you hear a wonderful voice there singing and so on, so it's her. So I have 2 cats, Rosie and Miguelito, which they used to scratch my door whenever I'm working here, so everything is fine. Um, in my free time, I like flying. That's why I have some maps here, and also hiking in the mountains. And sometimes, when I have time, I do some Golang. So this is what I'm gonna try to do here at this wonderful team. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Welcome, Sergio.
Thank you.
Welcome. And welcome, Andre, as well.
Well, I think I'm on one of the other new faces here. My name is Jorge, and I'm from the Canary Islands. And I'm here because I was on our team. We are working with AsyncAPI specification, and a few weeks ago, it was a little bit messy to work with the playground because the errors weren't shown. And from that point, I decided to do a CLI, a CLA by my own. And you guys mentioned that you would like to do a more complex or more with more features CLI. So I'm here to try to help you and also contribute to do that. So that's it.
Awesome. Welcome. Did you mention that you're living in Canary Island?
Yeah.
So I think if
We know.
it comes to locations, then you're the winner.
we know who's gonna organize the next party, I guess. once COVID is over.
You're always open to come, of course.
Cool.
You're welcome.
Okay, so if we're done with introductions, then let's jump into the topic suggested by Andre. So there's a lot of description already in the meeting notes. I hope you had a chance to familiarize with it. But Andre, I think you're the best person to feature the topic you want to discuss.
Yeah, so essentially for past year or so, I've had a bit of a desire to create something that basically pulls all your API management into one place, that spans further than what is currently achieved by the likes of, I don't know if anyone's heard of SmartBears, Swagger Hub, or Oracle's, I don't know how to pronounce it, I think it's Apiary, that are focused on, well, the Open API spec and some other spec APIs, like Blueprint, API Blueprint or something, which is Markdown based, but all focused on RESTful APIs. But what I hadn't seen was something that sort of brings together. Obviously, AsyncAPI is a pretty new initiative, and to have a specification for all these different types of APIs is it's quite new, really. Was that I wanted to create something that was pooling these different types of APIs together, and it was primarily to meet some various business needs for companies that I've worked for, and essentially the goal is to sort of create something that's that has a really good user experience to it. Is more accessible than what's around at the moment, and yeah, generally speaking, has a good design. So they're things that I'm quite passionate about, and I see that. I mean, you could say, well, it's subjective, but what's out there, I see that AsyncAPI is designed quite nicely, like the playground and everything. But there's a lot left to be desired in the API space in terms of like creating excellent user experiences. So really, yeah, the project that I'm working on, I want to use the AsyncAPI and integrate it into integrate it into the project as a core part of it. So as to why I'm here, I suppose it's mostly to see how I can contribute to the project in some way, contribute back as I seek to use it heavily for something that I'm not sure of its success, but I'll find out sooner or later. But also to get some feedback on the idea, and maybe if people think that it's a good idea or like a right way to go in the API space.
So Andre, I guess I shared a link with all of you on the chat. I think you mean something like this. Like we've been working on something like this in the past with stop development. So we'll open source this soon, TM, right? And that's probably what you mean, right? Like it's a, I mean, you have to sign up to see it, but it's not possible to sign up anymore. But it has a directory. I can probably share my screen. I think it's going to be easier. Yeah. So you can see how it is. Please, host, can you allow me to share my screen?
Access denied.
Please, God. Can you allow me to see my screen?
I don't see you on the list. Oh, wait. How about now?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, God.
Your personal. Jesus.
Okay, so I guess you can see it, right? So this is like the playground that we have so far, but we decided to go a little bit forward, a little bit beyond that, and we created this directory that is based on organizations, basically like mostly what you were mentioning about Swagger Hub. And as you can see, you have things organized by organization, by project, pretty much like Swagger Hub, right? And then you can create new projects, new organizations, blah, 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 new AsyncAPI files, and yeah. So for instance, you can see you can have different organizations like in Swagger Hub, things like this, right? Oh, look, we got this here. So yeah, don't know if this is more or less what you were thinking to develop, or you were developing actually.
Yeah, it's definitely like the basis is built on that. But my goal was really to sort of take it further with sort of real-time collaboration features.
Yeah.
Sort of looking into how it can integrate with your real service, your real implementations, and sort of catch versioning issues, and sort of give you hints and sort of integrate nicely with like the workflow of teams and things like that.
That was really the basic version of what you're mentioning, right? Like we were thinking on going in this direction as well, and we stopped like for now, or not stopped, but we paused it. It's not a priority for us right now, but yeah, like definitely interested. One of the things that I will have to do myself, because this is private in my GitHub account still, I need to find time and open source it appropriately, and and share it with the community. So probably you can continue the work from here. This is open source. This is going to be open source, right? And we wanted to continue being open source. Not sure if you want to develop this in the open source or as a proprietary solution. That's up to you, of course. But yeah, like most probably we will get back to this at some point late this year or early next year, like to have like a we called it AsyncAPI Hub, but it's most probably gonna be renamed to AsyncAPI Studio, something similar, because we want people to create so visually create APIs, not just AsyncAPI files, but visually create APIs, any kind of APIs, not just event-driven or asynchronous APIs. And it will be possible for you to manually create them, right? And to see how are they interconnected. Like this one is published into this channel, but these other three are subscribing to the same channel, so you can see the relationships between them, right? All this stuff basically. And but yeah, we decided that not the right time right now, but definitely it's something that needs to be done if we want people to be able to more, let's say, easily create asynchronous APIs, right, or AsyncAPI files in this case. Because if we just give people the code base approach, let's say, like the left side of the screen that I was sharing, right, like in the playground, then you have to type AsyncAPI by hand, and it's super complicated for newcomers, right?
Question about that bit, because this is something we ran into in a big way. So we started building a way to generate the actual specs directly from the signals, because you can particularly in MQTT, you can enumerate over what's there pretty easily. And we got, I think, we had the classic thing of get far enough to see it work and then stop because more things happened.
Yes.
But it was kind of, is there an interest in having the ability to generate a spec just from a stream of data?
Yeah, I think I think we discussed that with Solas at some point. And the problem, let's say, I mean, or let's say the only problem that we found there is that this stream of data can be incomplete sometimes.
That was
like
where we ended as well.
Yeah, so it's like you probably imagine that you have two types of files, sorry, two types of messages, and you only receive one. Then you define your schema as this one that you received. So your reality is actually limited, right? You only receive one kind of information, and you think all the information is like this. And then, but I mean that's just edge cases.
The actual goal originally was to deal with the fact that schemas need to change and to try and do an auto versioning tool. So the idea was if you broadcast to a specific endpoint, which matches your spec, and then you send, but this one says if you send data outside of the spec, it would update the spec to match it. So the ability to say, enumerate across my new spec of options and of channels and data types, and say this is the complete gamut of what you can receive. Now make the spec reflect that.
That's funny because we're going to work on the totally reversed approach. Like you're trusting the data, and we're going to work on the reversed approach, which is we don't trust the data.
I come from working inside networks too long.
But it's like, I mean, I understand that it has its use case as well. Like typically for bootstrapping new AsyncAPI files, that's great. Then you manually go there and review it. And then it's just a matter of reviewing them, right? Like, okay, this is all fine, this is all fine. But it's usually faster than typing all of that yourselves by hand, right? So yeah, it's usually, it's actually useful. But yeah. Be careful with the data, because one of the reasons I wanted to have AsyncAPI after documentation, after we realized that documentation is like, okay, this is a use case. It was validating the data, right? Validating the data that you receive from a topic, from a channel, right? And we ended up noticing that we had more mistakes than we thought initially on the data, itself.
I can totally believe that from some of our own tests.
Which was good. Like I was saying, maybe it's a good way to capture an initial document and then you review it, and I guess this is like we're always trying to evangelize, let's say, for the design first approach. Always as much as we can, right? We know the code first, and in this case, data first. I'm just inventing this word now, I think. But these approaches are, of course, they have use cases, but we always evangelize for design first. So people design what they want to have. They take the time to design it, and then you make sure that everything you have around like data, like the behavior of your API and all of that matches the AsyncAPI file that you created, right? Or not only the AsyncAPI file, but anything else that you might have outside the AsyncAPI file, like your documentation, right? The design that you created. And this one is completely reversing the approach, and but still, I think for many people can be useful, like I just said, right? Like bootstrapping new files. So yeah, if you can share this code, that would be amazing.
Yeah, it's the find some time to open source it, but like it's part of the spec. It's part of our hub code, so it is all open and all planned to be open.
Okay.
So like it came out. We have a series of open source ingesters now, which basically take AsyncAPI files and then just ingest MQTT or other things, and then turn them and then spit out like AsyncAPI verified ably code at the other end, which is also like MQTT as well, because it supports both. But like the idea was this one was exactly because we often ended up taking open API specs in to turn them async. And because we then have a poll loop inside and it would poll out the data, it would then become of that data, how to generate an open API, an async API spec. Sorry, it's too many words to sound the same. An async spec from an open spec, but we wanted to guarantee that there was actually data and to make a spec which was immediately testable. So it was effectively, the idea was it built up a snapshot of what was data was there, and then it would say, this is the spec for now. and then would verify that spec.
That's good. Sounds good. So I guess I hope we're not deviating too much from the topic that Andre was proposing.
It comes to the same thing, because like this whole data exploration problem is actually just the critical problem with that. The problem we always run into with this kind of data in motion thing is that because there's no static point, you can't just go query and hope, right? It's very hard to actually explore the data. And it suddenly becomes a real problem, particularly in any of these like tools which kind of host up all these APIs. Is what is there? What does this API even do? Like, you know, with most of the smart bed stuff, you click the button and see the API resolve. It's great, and gives you a real appreciation of what actually happens. So that's always been my fear with this stuff. Is like I can't visualize a stream of data when it's not there, or even test the stream of data.
So I'm just curious, because I think so this is actually related to what I was talking about, like the visualization of relationship between
exactly them. Yeah, that's why I said
that I mean, I didn't want to hijack your time, Andre, so sorry for that. Maybe you wanted to like, I don't know, if it's actually like, if it's not related, just feel free to raise your hand and say, hey guys, you're talking something totally different.
No, that was actually a really interesting point.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that we're not hijacking your point here. Okay, awesome. So yeah, so I think so Ben, again, I think this is pretty interesting thing. If you can share, if you can talk to ably and manage to open source this, that would be amazing.
It's on the it's purely a time matter. It is literally on the roadmap to be open sourced.
Okay.
Like everything we do async based will be open. So there's now a Git org called Ably Labs where everything we have async is based there anyway.
Awesome.
And all our open source stuff just lives there by default now. So we just keep dumping things out there. The main problem, the two main blockers are convincing some people to actually write the article to go with it. Is actually one of the main blockers, right? The article to go with it, which is unbelievably more time consuming than the code itself.
Well, I guess it's, yeah, like you said, a matter of time. Yeah. Just by the way, this is gonna be Sergio, this is gonna be super useful for your work. So Sergio is gonna work on this. Don't know even how to call it. Event-driven proxy.
Just the thing though, if anyone wants to like build tools with AsyncAPI and wants an open key just to have async data, like please just poke me. I will give you an unlimited key for our hub.
Oh, that would be actually useful.
I mean, like, so all the things on there have specs already. So it's just like, please just use them. That's what they're there for.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, actually, we can test the proxy with that data.
It's about 12, 15 feeds there, so just try them all. They're all slightly different. They always use MQTT or SC, so you don't even need to use our protocol.
What about Kafka data? You have something like that?
That is literally on. That will be coming very soon.
Okay.
The question really is, tell me what you want in terms of Kafka data, because like, well, no, we spoke about this a couple of weeks back.
Anything. Yeah, we just want to test the proxy, right? Well,
no, we are. So we're building
we haven't decided yet, but
so we're building a Kafka Connect thing internally, like the official one for Ably at the moment, and like I'm building all the ingress stuff for Kafka as well. And it's like this is literally the oh gosh moment of it's horrible because Avro is nightmarishly silly, and the fact they support so many different specs is just makes the whole thing a headache. So like, yeah, like basically, if you've got any kind of things you want to see out of Kafka or into Kafka, please just send them over. Like I have a literal remit in the team working on this right now. So
that's awesome.
Oh no, I'll message you a bit because your last article was awesome. It got shared around a bunch internally.
Yay! Yeah, I think there's some having had a quick look at your data streams, but obviously not ready to integrate with Kafka yet at our side. There's a bunch of cool stuff there, and I would love to see those examples in the kind of AsyncAPI stories and the stuff that we're creating. I think there's a lot of kind of joined up thinking in the room, as it were.
Yeah, but that's exactly that. Because like the whole idea of having the specs on there was everyone just test the stuff with it because we think the specs are important, possibly more than the data itself right now. But also, like if you have data you want to put up so it can be hosted for free, but we'll pay the hosting and like the transportation costs for it as long as we can put specs against it and have it there.
So yeah, as I was saying, that's also my and thanks for that. Thanks for offering that. But because what we're going to work with the proxy that Sergio is going to be leading the development, I think this is going to be amazing because the idea is to have like a proxy. Think about this like Nginx or something like this, but for messaging protocols, not for HTTP, right? And it will be able to capture, for instance, Kafka or MQTT. It will be able to understand that the TCP stream that it's receiving, it's a Kafka message. It's actually a Kafka message, and parse it and get the content, and then validate it against the AsyncAPI definition, and then let it pass or not, depending on if it's valid, and that's only the beginning. Then you'll have policies, you'll have different things you can do there, of course. But the initial,
so it's almost like an event gateway
is to validate it. Sounds like a gateway. I don't want to call it gateway because
of course not. No.
Yeah, I don't, because gateways are usually that for HTTP, the gateways are also aggregators somehow. Like you make a request and then it makes 3 other requests to other 3 APIs, aggregate the result, and then it put it back on the response, right? So that's something that gateways do, and so that's why I'm calling it proxy. Like it's just literally a proxy. It does nothing to the message, at least for now, right? It does nothing to the message. Just let it pass or not, right? Or let it pass, but it triggers an alarm somewhere at Datadog, New Relic, or Slack, or whatever, right? So yeah, that's the whole idea. And ideally we should be able to deploy. So it's going to be also API first. Most probably it's not going to be it's not going to have a UI. It's just going to be an API for you to interact with it. So there's no, unless someone wants to jump in and create a basic UI, that's fine. But yeah, the idea is that then, for instance, Ably could be using it to validate.
I was about to suggest, can we help and and effectively we'll happily help build it, and probably end up having the ability to just put an Ably module in there as well, for the simple fact that most people don't want to manage broadcast.
So, but you mean actually also to publish messages and then it will broadcast to different subscribers?
Yeah, effectively, because the idea there is you've basically created a proxy, you've now got a point of common ingress and a point of common access. So then for egress, for messages going out of this system,
egress, yeah.
It's suddenly like, hey, I now need to egress all this stuff to 10,000 subscribers rather than 20, and you don't want to have to deal with the simple fact of the inevitable scaling socket IO type problem when you end up having hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of servers managing your front end presence points.
Yeah.
But even in the other way, I'd love to have it so it receives AV messages.
Yeah. Let's actually, this is something that we can all collaborate on for sure. Like, it's a piece that we can all collaborate on.
But yeah, even if you start with MQTT or something to make it more common.
Okay. Yeah, we were thinking initially on having something for Kafka because of event-driven microservices, and that it's
Kafka does raise a question.
Kafka is a growing solution right now, and even though I don't think it's perfect for that.
It doesn't actually send messages. That's the thing. This is the one thing I always run into with Kafka. It doesn't actually send the messages anywhere outside of itself. It's sort of a joke.
It's actually a request response protocol. Actually, yeah. It's not an event-driven protocol.
Unless you're building Connect in, which would be fascinating.
Yeah. Let's see where it goes. But yeah, just wanted to give a heads up here that we're gonna work on that, and might be useful as well.
I think we're anyway gonna start with some design document, right? That will be public.
Yeah. Sure. Like we even haven't started yet.
Yeah.
Discussing the details. So
Okay.
yeah. I mean, Sergio joined yesterday. Let's give him some days. Just I don't know, tomorrow maybe.
I'm
Maybe
still
next week.
installing my terminal.
It's about time. Eh? 2 days to install the terminal.
Yeah, you know what you hiring me. Come on.
You told me actually. Okay.
So
yeah.
jumping back to something else that Andre mentioned. So contributing back. So yeah, important things you have to know about this community is that quite soon we're gonna join a foundation, and the plan is that we manage the whole organization in an open governance model, community driven. So we're pretty flexible here. So I bet that one of the main tools that you're going to use in your project is going to be parser, but there will probably be others, or you will think that there might be a tool that you need to have, but it can have more general use case. So always feel free to contact us to work on the project, on the library, or whatever you're gonna have in mind together under the organization. So whenever you see something missing in the parser, always better contribute back than write your own parser. So that's that would be a message from my side. So always just be here with us on Slack and ask whenever you have a question. We also have this dedicated channel called Tooling, specific for tooling only. So you can also jump there and be active there. Does it make sense?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay. Cool. Another topic that we probably have to continue. So something that Jorge mentioned in the intro is the CLI, right? So the idea we had with the CLI is that like basically people of, I mean, let's make it like a shallow reasoning. Maybe that's a good word in English. So basically want to have CLI because people love CLIs and they are cool. So we need to have one, but it's not the only reason, of course. CLIs are useful for automation. But basically we would like to have a single CLI to do whatever we can with AsyncAPI and consume all the tools that we have within the CLI. Like, not sure how familiar you are with Kubernetes and the kubectl or kubectl or whatever are different pronunciations of the CLI. With kubectl, you can do whatever you want within the Kubernetes cluster. With Docker CLI, you can do whatever you want to do with the images. And that's the like basic foundation idea for the CLI. So we want to have one single CLI project that you can use to just validate the document, just generate something with our templates, or even create a new document within just one single CLI. So there's no just one CLI for generator, one CLI for validation, etc., but just one single tool that reuses our libraries. So that's what we meant when you showed the validator validation CLI, that we would like to have a something single. There's no repo for it yet, no design even. We only know that I mean, you probably noticed that we are pretty in favor with React, because we have like the Next.js is used for the website, then the generator render engine, new render engine is React, then the code the model generation is based on React. And we, of course, know that there's this React library called Ink that you can create also CLI tools with React. So that's I would say, something that we would love to use for the CLI and suggest to have. But of course, like in every development, we are open for suggestions. Not this one, but we are a bit open. So that's the foundation. And now it also depends on you when you wanted to jump and help out here, because we also have other priorities and not sure how much we should rush here and kick off with some design docs, or maybe you would like to do it and jump in and create some doc under AsyncAPI where we will already start drafting and working on something. So what were your thoughts?
Yeah, for me, it's not a problem. So if you want me to also be the designer, and we can iterate over the idea and then jump into code, so it's not a problem.
So I think we're pretty flexible again. So again, because we want to make everything we work on a work of community, not just a few lads from Postman that are pushing forward. So if you already have some experience there and would like to start scratching something, some doc, just let us know. Think it through. Let us know after the call. We're just gonna come up with a location where to share it, where to put it, so we can also easily share it with the community.
Okay.
So if you're gonna be first one to jump in, then at the end we'll have to agree on something and work on it. We just have this small suggestion with Ink, but of course, if there's something better, then
I will take a look. I didn't know that you can generate CLIs with React. So
yeah. But I think it's only important for me and Fran, and we anyway don't have much time recently to code too much. So it's like we'd love to play with this new tool, new tool, new toy, actually, not doll. Although you can see I'm in my daughter's room and I have like artificial hair and etc. And it's not for me. I promise that's not really mine.
Yes, sure.
But yeah, just to conclude this shameful expression from my side, just feel free whenever you'd like to jump into design, just let us know. I think we just need to come up with location where to start working on it, or we even can create a repo already and
that's what I was going to say. Like it's okay, we can create the repo and start with a single document there, markdown document there, right? Like
yeah,
just or even an issue there, even without code.
Issue, yeah.
Yeah, like and we can start iterating on the issue or something. Like, I mean, whatever works. We like he said, like Lukasz said, we're pretty flexible, and it will be great to see more community members taking the lead on tools or on parts of the spec, or like, for instance, so Dale was here today on the call. Dale decided to take the lead a little bit on the Kafka binding for the spec. So I think this is great. Like this, we want to continue this trend like this, to continue this move, right? Where people actually take the lead on parts of the project. Also because of the reason Lukasz said, like we don't want this to be the Postman fault game, right? Where all of everything is managed by ourselves. Of course, we're working on this full time, so you can expect us to do more stuff. But yeah, I mean that's it should be a community work, right? It should be a community effort. And when we say effort, it's not that we decide and you work. No, it's not like this, right? It is. It's well, it is like this. I see Lorna saying like, no.
No, I decide and you work. It's fine.
Actually, yes, we work. We are the only ones working hard here, full time. So yeah, it's like we wanted to be a little bit more like, hey, so people take the leadership on areas of the project. Can be a tool, can be a feature, can be a feature of the spec. I don't know, like, and when I say taking the leadership, it doesn't have to be like you have to be there forever, being the leader and taking responsibility. No, it can be just temporarily, like, just want this to make it. You just want to make it happen, like having a CLI, and then after it's done, you maybe okay, I don't care about async API anymore. Okay, that's fine. At least you did something during some time, and that's great, right? So. I mean, we hope you stay, of course, but but yeah, it's like doesn't have to, right?
Yeah, and the CLI doesn't have to support all the tools from the very beginning.
Exactly.
It can just have a simple design and then just do CLI async API validate or whatever, and that's it. And the rest will be.
I think the best way will be like you define like a design, a document, even if it's just overall design. And then from there, once we agree on an issue or something like, okay, so this is looking great, then you start creating issues, right? For each of the points or implementations that need to be done. And then maybe you find out that you're not the only one interested in this, and someone jumps in and help you implement the other features while you're working on some of them. And yeah, that's hopefully what will happen, right?
Perfect.
Over time, at least.
I will start taking a look about of the tools you have and just define those points and try to make it possible.
Okay, awesome. So then I think we can, after the call, create the CLI repo as we said.
Yeah.
And then just whenever you have time, create a first issue where you describe like foundation. And by design, we don't think like design document that it's, because sometimes design document sounds like it's pretty scary, but it doesn't have to be like full architecture design with like all edge cases, whatever future, look into the future. It's more just a foundation. What's the goal, and some simple
guidelines,
like proposal also for the CLI, how the verbs will be formulated, etc. And that's it.
Yeah, I think GraphQL calls it Strawman proposal. I think Strawman proposal, which is like you just dump your thoughts there and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And then from there we iterate and make, even the design will be iterative, right? So it will become better over time. And then at some point it's just a matter of, okay, let's just jump into the implementation, right? So yeah.
Oh, perfect, thanks.
Okay, cool. 10 minutes left. Anyone has some other questions, topics? So maybe update from our side. I think it's important because as I wrote, actually I will, maybe you didn't notice, I wrote a status update from January. I'm gonna send it to you. A few more readers. Just please click the link so I can see statistics that more people read. When you open the document, please leave it active a few minutes so the read time also increases. Okay, so the also as mentioned in the status update, last few meetings, we were always talking about this open governance and foundation. So just an update from our side that we are really actively working on it. So it's like me and Fran, we're meeting regularly and thinking about it. It's just the thing that we are ambitious, like with other topics at AsyncAPI, and we don't want to just copy templates from others and apply, but we really want to design a charter where we have a kind of democracy, and really whoever contributes has a vote, and it's just harder because we try to write it in the lawyer's language, which is not fun. I mean, Fran says it's fun. I'm super honest here. That's not fun at all. but I think it's important to try. And we're pretty, I think we're kind of advanced, right?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. It's actually, I mean, it's true for me. Like, it's kind of fun. Of course, it's like studying, right? Like when you have to study a lot, and then it's like in the beginning, it's like, oh, damn, I have to sit down and study. And then once you're studying, it's like, oh, so this is actually, you start getting engaged in this with the stuff that you're studying, right? So same feeling here. It's like when you have to start, it's like, oh, I don't want to do this. And once you're doing it, it's like, oh, this is actually fun. It's a little bit, yeah. And with our programmer's mind, mix it with lawyers' language is fun. It's like we had some funny cases where we were always what was that? It's the repos project repository. This was like, instead of referring to repo, is no, we're referring to a repo of this project, right? Like, because this contract, this agreement is for this project only, right? So you have to be like super clear and precise with your language, because it's a legal document, right? And then it's like you can get crazy with it. You can get crazy with all these details, trying to be as precise as possible, trying to avoid the problem of using they, you know, like pronouns as a subject, where it might not be clear who's they, or you know, it's like even though it's pretty clear when you read it, but it's like, yeah, let's not give any chance to doubts here, right? So misinterpretation. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun. And we're kind of mixing, I mean, not the language, but we're kind of mixing, we took ideas from different communities. So we're actually not taking the template, but it's actually better or worse, I don't know, that we are mixing a bunch of ideas from different communities. And we hope this works.
I hope we're not creating Frankenstein. So.
Yes. Exactly.
Sounds like. But yeah, I think the goal is that before the next meeting, we can already share something to get your feedback.
I hope so, yeah.
So yeah, the reason we're not yet sharing, because we're just trying to like organize our thoughts. Now it would be just strange to get feedback on what we have.
Yep.
5 minutes left. Anyone has some additional topic?
Hi, this is Dale. Like Fran said, I'm trying to move along the Kafka binding stuff, how we describe schemas. So if anyone is interested in Kafka stuff and would like to have a look and give me some comments, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
Me, please.
Please.
Me, please. I have some Kafka. I've done a little bit of AsyncAPI with MQTT. I do a lot of other things as well, but I'm super interested in this, and because I'm working a lot with Kafka over time, I will be moving this forward. So I would love to read what you have, Dale, and maybe skill myself up to the point where I can at least review, if not collaborate.
Fantastic. Yeah, so what I've done is I've sort of illustrated the kinds of things to cover. And so I was hoping that if we could get a consensus on what we could do, then I would turn that into a sort of a PR for the bindings repo. But for now, it's more sort of...
Is it just me or?
No, I think
oh gosh, not just me. I thought I was
conversation going
okay.
Then speak to opinion.
So Dale, your sound is completely
I'll
impossible to understand.
Thanks. Oh, actually, Fran's already been to it. Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, Dale, I think we have some connectivity issues with you. But
oh no. Okay. Well, you've put the link in. So...
Yeah.
Oh, it's strange. Like
Yeah,
Dale, you're muted, and I still hear you. It's like voice from. in my head.
Yeah, so I pasted some links on the chat. So the first two are the issues that are already existing in the Binance repository, and the third one, the gist, is Dale's gist on different cases to cover around different scenarios where Kafka bindings will be helpful and could be helpful, but yeah, only if we change it, only if we evolve it, of course.
And Lorna and Ben, I'm gonna tag you also in the thread in Slack, because there's some discussion started there. But like my strong recommendation, because there's already some discussion between Laurent and Dale, my strong recommendation, and I'm gonna write it also in Slack, because there's a lot of good feedback already and good content. Like I'm gonna suggest to move it to issue, because we have this limitation that in like 2 months these messages will disappear from Slack, and we don't want to lose this knowledge. So but yeah, I'm gonna tag you there so we can see what's written already, but also again recommend to move to issues. That's the best, especially that issues are nicely indexed and Google available.
As soon as you use Google to find things, everything becomes better.
True. Okay, so we finished 2 minutes before the end of the meeting. Thanks a lot for joining this APAC-friendly meeting, unfriendly for Europeans that only showed up. But anyway, thanks a lot for joining with such a big group. Next meeting again in 2 weeks, Tuesday, this time 4 p.m. UTC. Nothing more to add. Enjoy the rest of the day. It's still gonna be long.
Honest, I prefer the mornings.
Yeah.
Enjoy, guys, folks.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Bye, chums.